Hello, everyone. This is Peter Grandich. For 20 plus years, I got to work with a lot of professional athletes in different sports. And I always stated this, and not just because our next guest is one of them, but pound for pound, no tougher and better athletes of the four major sports than professional ice hockey players. And when it came to toughness, and one of the first people you want to pick on your team is certainly my next guest. He was a first round draft pick. Played 12 years in the NHL. He's a two-time Stanley Cup champion. And of course, he's been a great friend. And whenever I needed something in the community or charitable, first guy to show up was Grant Marshall. Grant, as always, thank you, my friend.
Peter, love you, man. You're always a good friend to me and my whole family. So I appreciate uh, being with you, whether it's over Zoom or actually in person. I appreciate the nice comments, but what you give back to the communities all over this great state is unmatched. So you're a good person and a good friend.
Well, I'll say two things. One, the one thing we have exactly in common, we both married way up. Uh,
Yeah.
and second, uh, I recall long before we became friends watching you, and I would always say this about you. And there was only one other Devil player I ever said it about, and it was late in his career. Uh, didn't matter what the score was, didn't matter what time of the season was, didn't matter whether it was home or down, whether you were winning by 8-1 or down to one, didn't matter, was their toughest guy in the ice. Nobody backed down like Grant Marshall. And when people listen, it's not like you were 6'5" and 240.
Oh, I
And
wish.
yeah, and people just have to do a Google to see all it. But you were far more than just a fighter. You scored, you played well. The Devils would have not won that year if not for some key goals by you. And the only other guy that I remember that I'd always say about the Devils was that way was Gary Howard.
Yeah.
He was even smaller. I mean, he
Yeah.
was, and he came late from the Islanders. So it was always a pleasure. So what I want to first talk about, let's start with what's obviously who we're rooting for, but I don't think either one of us have expectations to see him in the Stanley Cup Finals. But we are happy that they made the playoffs this year. And you're part of the alumni. You still work with the Devils.
Mhm.
So let's start with the Devils, maybe just looking at this season and then what chance, if any, they have in the playoffs.
Well, it was one of those things. The start of the season, it was a really good start to the season, especially being overseas, winning a couple games against Buffalo. Um, just to make it the way they played was really, I think, showed lots of promise going through the season and into hopefully the playoffs. And then halfway, it just seemed like injuries obviously play a part, which they seem to always do. I just feel like from watching and being around is that things just changed the way we played, our style a little bit. We went from a very aggressively style of team, not like overly hitting or anything, which I wish they'd do more of, but just the way we played, and we played with our legs and our minds in an aggressive way. And I think that kind of halfway, maybe come Christmas time, it just things started to change. And then the injuries to Markstrom. Obviously, Jack Hughes was a massive blow to the team moving forward into the playoffs, which really hurt us. So, but obviously, we're always glad to get in the playoffs, and we always say you never know what can happen in the playoffs. But we're playing against a team with the Carolina Hurricanes that we know very, very well, we respect very well, but they're a really, really strong, determined, mature team with a lot of depth. So it's going to be really, really difficult for us.
Yeah, I also feel it seemed that what life there was kind of went out when Hughes got hurt. I just feel like it just didn't seem like the same team. But I don't fool myself. I learned a long time ago, professionals are professionals because you're 1/10 of 1% that make it to the ultimate. So who are we as fans to sit there and think we know what we're talking about? But I concur with you. Felt that way. Okay, so chances are that they're not going to beat Carolina, but you never know. I actually were hoping they could because I'm hoping somehow the Canadians could beat Washington because I would go up to see some friends of Montreal.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
You're really hoping and wishing ahead, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a lot there. So I'm just going to tell you who my surprise pick is to be in the finals. Whether or not they win it, I don't know. And
Okay.
then, of course, I want you to give me your views on some of the teams. I actually think Canada is going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals and could finally win it after years, but not the team that some people would think of. I'm picking the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
So anyway, that's me. No hockey experience. You have two Stanley Cups. So
Mm-hmm.
let's kind of go through some of the teams you're thinking of. If there were 3 or 4 that you think can make it to the Stanley Cup, maybe a dark horse or something, or a surprise, or just outright are just the best teams. What's your
Yeah. Well, I too have Winnipeg winning.
okay?
I like the team. I think they got the best goalie in possibly the league. I think the best goalie in the playoffs overall. So I do like them. And being Canadian myself, I guess obviously I want the Devils to win. I want them to win every year. But if it's going to be a consolation, I wouldn't be so upset if it was a Canadian team winning, because it's been forever since a Canadian team won. In saying that, I like them a lot. I also I like the way Dallas is playing. Dallas is playing pretty good hockey. I did win a cup with Dallas in '99, so I have that familiarity as well. They look good as well. There's a few teams. I would also, the team that I would, that always seems to be there out of the East is Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And they're gonna they're already gonna start off out of the gun against one of the best teams as well. That's been well over the last few years, and a rival, in-state rival is the Florida Panthers. So I like Tampa a lot. Washington's just been dominant all year. So it's kind of easy to go with them. I've been a little surprised that they were this dominant all year. Kudos and hats off to them, because they played masterfully this whole season, and obviously with having the greatest goal scorer now in Alex Ovechkin, which is props to him. He deserves everything. I got to play against him briefly, and he's just a phenomenal player, and a phenomenal became even more of a phenomenal person off the ice. So I like them, but I'm gonna kind of go, I think, possibly Tampa Winnipeg final.
Okay. Listen, they're strong. Is there a team that a lot of almost no one would give a chance now, but could surprise us, if not making it to the Stanley Cup, going further than most people would give them a chance to?
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a few teams. A team that I do like. I don't know. I think they've been struggling lately too. Is Carolina, who we actually have to match up in the first round. I don't think we can sustain a longevity. I'd love to be surprised. But Carolina seems good. And another team that's also been very, very good is Vegas, and they've won. And I think they're a team that can surprise. And it's hard to say surprise, because they have been good for quite a while. But I think a lot of the props are going to Washington, going to Winnipeg, maybe Dallas, Colorado. I'd watch out for Vegas.
Okay, before I let you go, I have to ask you this, even though it's a known hated rivalry, but the two is nearest teams to us, and we both have friends. We're always together with Nikki Fatiou and Christy and all.
Yeah.
What the hell happened to the Rangers?
I tell you, it's funny because it's an historic organization, one of the greatest organizations in probably sports, right? And I really thought they were going to make some noise this year. And we played great against them. We actually beat them quite a bit. I don't even know how to answer the question, because I was so surprised. Like Kreider, who I thought is a great player. I think still is probably a really good player. There were some issues there, maybe whether it was with the coaching and him, or just organization as a whole. Panarin is a phenomenal player, right? So I just have to, again, besides Winnipeg's goalie in Hellebuck, Shesterkin's probably not the best goalie in the league, or second best goalie in the league as well. So I don't know what happened to them, but they lost their way, and they lost it pretty quickly.
No,
I'm okay with it a little. I'm a little bit okay with it.
I understand that.
But from a great franchise and a good organization, I was very, very surprised. I thought they would have been. I would have had them probably top 5 teams in our conference. I actually had the Devils in the top, 3 or 4 in our conference, and they finished whatever was third in our Metropolitan. But there's more issues behind that with injuries and stuff like that to go with coincide with that. But I'm so surprised the Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, so before the Devils came here from Colorado, when I was a young man and going down to see Ranger games, the most hated game was playing the Islanders because
Hmm.
they won like every year, in the 70s. But really, they have fallen off the cliff as a franchise.
Yeah, and it's too bad because the general manager Lou Lamoriello, I love as like a
Yeah.
father to, and I think a lot of us would say the same thing. He's masterful in how he runs an organization. Um, he cares deeply on the players, and putting on a good product, and they seem to struggle as well, which is surprising because it's another uh, historic organization, won 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the late '70s and early '80s. So it's a bit surprising, and like I said, I really, really care a lot about Lou and what he gave me and my family, and to the multiple organizations he's a part of. So it's surprising.
All right, Grant Marshall. I still turn on those Googles and see it.
I miss the fights. I miss it. But maybe it's good for me that I'm so far away from it because I get so frustrated when I watch. I'm like, oh God, I wish I could be out there. But then when I get up and I go to do something and I kind of go, oh yeah, it hurts a bit. I go, yeah, it's
Yeah,
the reason why I'm retired.
yeah, that is true. All right, well, listen, tell the wife, give her my best. Enjoy a most joyous Easter tomorrow, and who knows? We'll see if the devil surprise and they go on to the next round. I might need to bring you back.
I'll always be there for you and Mary. Give her our love, okay?
All right, Grant.
Cheers, buddy.